Hey, what's up guys? It's Matt from Sobrietyfit. I just wanted to put out a few videos to kind of tackle the side of sobriety that I haven't found a lot online about. There might be tons on there, but this is something I just wanted to do for myself and to give back to others. Primarily, the reason I wanted to make these videos, because when I first thought about it, it scared the crap out of me. I'm not a huge fan of putting videos out there for others to see and making myself vulnerable. So as soon as I decided, hey, that scares me, well, I knew right away that that's something I have to do, because I'm a huge believer in tackling your fears. And when you go outside your comfort zone, that's when you find success, and that's when you find all kinds of things go positive in your life. But that's for another episode. So anyways, the reason I want to put out these videos, because I would like to talk more about the mental side of sobriety and how we can empower ourselves, how we can create a better life. So anyways, my name's Matt. I've got 3.5 years of grateful sobriety. So if you're new to sobriety, keep it up. What they say is true. It does get better. Each day is a gift, and I'm not just saying that. No, it honestly is. Like it gets great. And the things that it's amazing to think back to when I started and where I am today. And you think you have everything planned out. Those first few months of sobriety, I was like, well, I'm going to stay sober, and then this is going to happen in my life, and that's going to happen. And it's like, where I wound up is 180 degrees different than where I envisioned myself at the time. So if you're new to sobriety, don't worry about what the future holds. Just take it a day at a time, like they say, a minute at a time if you have to. And I mean, great things are going to happen if you keep it up. So anyways, the reason I started Sobrietyfit was I wanted to combine my two passions, and that was helping others and fitness. I found with myself, fitness was one of the best things for me in sobriety. I mean, I went to a rehab center, I do the 12-step program, all that stuff, but I also found that fitness was a huge proponent in keeping me sober. And the reason that is, I think anyways, is when I was just doing the meetings, when, I was fresh out of a rehabilitation center, it felt like there was still something missing. I had all this free time that I used to spend drunk or, at the bar or whatever it would be. So, I mean, in the past, I had always been into fitness, into sports, stuff like that. So I started going to the gym, and I found a whole new, we'll call it a culture there, because you had those friends. It was almost like going to the bar. You had those friends there. You had the people, the good endorphins you get going from lifting weights. Everything just came together in there, and it felt great. And after you start seeing some progress in yourself, it was kind of unstoppable. I had taken that negative addiction and moved it into kind of a positive habit. And I'm a huge believer, and that's what we have to do. Reason being is, as science has told us, addiction is a genetic thing. So if we're going to go from being an alcoholic, an addict, whatever it is, and we're going to quit, well, we're probably going to have those addictive personality traits come out in something else. So, I mean, they say an addiction is when it affects your life negatively. So we don't want to go that far into it. Like in my case, I don't want to, start getting body image issues and stuff like that, and being so obsessed with fitness that it controls my life and my life becomes unmanageable. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm more saying that we need to transfer that into a positive, we'll call it a positive habit or a positive focus. We're, as addicts and alcoholics, we're amazing at, if we set our minds to something, we're going to achieve that. Such as, if you've got no money and you want to get drunk or you want to get high, whatever that is, we're going to find a way to do that. We're amazing with that. So I'm a huge believer that any person in recovery, they can basically achieve anything if they put their minds to it. I mean, really, what can stop us? We worked so hard for that high, so hard for that drunk, that if we can focus that energy into something else, we are unstoppable. And I truly believe that. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone out there believes that and believes that in themselves, because we're bound for great things, and I want everybody out there to be able to achieve those great things. So anyways, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, where my drinking career, all that kind of stuff. We'll quickly go through that, just so you get an idea where I'm coming from and the things I've gone through and where I am today kind of thing. So anyways, growing up, came from a typical great family. I'm not your normal addict, alcoholic who had major trauma or what you would see in the movies kind of thing. Basically, my childhood was, to me, basically perfect. Looking back now, yeah, I probably had some self-esteem issues like most alcoholics, addicts do. But all in all, my childhood was great. I have no complaints with that. Basically, growing up, I was heavily involved in sports. Being from Canada, I played hockey at a fairly high level. I'm not a very big guy. I'm pretty small, actually, so that obviously didn't go very far, but it is what it is. When I was about 13, 14, I got heavily involved in rollerblading, like the freestyle rollerblading. It was a thing, so don't laugh. Well, I kind of laugh at it now, but regardless, it was a thing. I started with skateboarding, got into rollerblading, and ended up competing with that nationally. I guess I was like a semi-pro, had sponsorships, all that kind of good stuff. I did that. I was heavily into that. I didn't party. I was always at the skate park training. That was my life. I was obsessed, and I mean, that's the addictive personality, right? I was completely obsessed with it. So when I was 18 years old, I remember we were out filming for a video that we were hoping was going to go big, like it was going to be a big video. So all my friends were going and they were just killing it. They were skating great and I was having an off day. I couldn't land anything. I was very disappointed in myself. So anyways, at the end of the day, I still haven't landed any good tricks. I was like, I'm not even going to get in this movie. This is brutal. What do I do? What do I do? So finally, I don't know if any of you are familiar with West Edmonton Mall, but it was one of the biggest malls in the world. It's in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And we were there and I decided, well, I'm going to jump from the second level of West Edmonton Mall to the first level. And this, looking back, is a completely stupid idea, but I was young, dumb, and wanted to get in this video in the worst way. So anyways, I put my skates on, I go climb over the railing onto a pillar that runs out, halfway into this basically opening, because you could look from the second level over down into the first level. So I climb over, get on this marble pillar that spans across the opening, and it's only about, I don't know, 1.5 feet wide, 2 feet wide. So I go to push off, and when I push off, I was going to turn 90 degrees and jump down to the first level. Thinking back now, any idiot with any basic understanding of physics would realize that you're going to drive your legs right up into your torso kind of thing. But I don't know, I wasn't in that frame. I just got so obsessed with the idea of being there that this is what I was going to do. So anyways, I jump out. Because it was a marble ledge, there was dust on it because you're not supposed to be out there, obviously. No one had cleaned it. And when I went to jump, my foot slipped up and I fell 25 feet onto my side, broke my pelvis, broke this wrist in 8 places, major concussion, chipped my tooth, whole bunch of stuff. So anyways, after I came out of that, it took several months. I think it was about 3 months till I was healed enough that I could try to rollerblade again. I was walking around with a cane instead of crutches because I had the broken wrist, so I couldn't use crutches. So I was kind of hobbling around for 3 months. It was awful. And when I tried to start skating again, the coordination wasn't there. Like what my mind wanted my legs to do, it couldn't do it anymore. I don't know if that was the concussion, whatever it was. At that point, I had quite a few concussions to that point through hockey, rollerblading, whatever it was. I was quite a few anyways. So I don't know if that did something to me. Whatever it was, I just couldn't do it like I used to be able to anymore. So I figured, hey, I'm 18 years old now. Like, I've been putting off partying for how long? In Alberta, we could go to the bar at 18. So this is when my drinking career really started. Instead of going to train every day, I was finding reasons to drink every day. And being from a small town, there was always people to go drinking with. And, you know, it was normal every day to drink a case of beer. You know, we'd go to a bush party, whatever it was. You drink a case of beer there, that's just normal. I'm sure that's normal in a lot of places. But looking back now, for me, that isn't normal drinking. That's obviously binge drinking. And I believe that's the real start. So anyways, I ended up going to college for a semester, I believe. After that, took business. Realized it wasn't for me anyways at that time. Dropped out, worked for a little longer. You know, drinking was still, I think, you know, it wasn't every day there at that point. I'd gotten over the 18-year-old party phase. So, you know, it was probably 3, maybe 4 times a week, and probably pretty heavy at those times when I was going. So anyways, did that. And then when I was 23, I decided to enroll back in post-secondary education. And I decided I was going to be a heavy-duty mechanic, take a trade. So, I mean, where I grew up in Alberta, trades were huge because we have the oil sands in northern Alberta. And they employ lots of tradesmen. And the money was good and good time off. So I figured, hey, that's for me. That's what I'm going to do. So I did that. I went to school for that, got hired, got a good job out of college, and went up north to Fort McMurray, started working. And in my first year working up there, and in this time, my drinking is, being that I worked a week on, a week off, that week off was pretty much a week-long party kind of thing, right? And now that I was getting paid quite well for my age and being a first-year apprentice, I was spending every penny of that on liquor. So anyways, it wasn't affecting my job at this point, nothing like that, but it was definitely the beginning of something pretty bad. So yeah, that first year of work, I'm up working, and I primarily worked on the big mine hauler dump trucks. And if you're familiar with this, you could look it up online. It's a Caterpillar 797 dump truck. At the time, it was the biggest dump truck in the world. It's as big as a house. And I was working on that, and we were changing out the hoist cylinders that put the box up and down so it can dump its load. We were replacing one of those hoist cylinders. And it was the last day of our shift, and it was a night shift, and our shift ended at about 6:30 in the morning, and it was about, we'll say, 6 o'clock. So it was just right at the end. And we're just about completed the job, and to make a long story short, we cut a bunch of corners. There was 3 of us working on it. We all cut corners to get this job done quick. I put myself in a bad spot. Basically, I was laying across the frame rail. The box was in the air. It wasn't secured anymore. We had taken the slings that usually hold the box upright. We had taken them off to lower it, and we didn't put anything to kind of block it. And like I say, to make a long story short, somebody took off the line they shouldn't have, and the box came down and slammed down, crushed my pelvis area down to 2.5 inches, broke my pelvis in 19 places, like delaminated it. It was broken on every axis you can imagine. Like the x-rays were incredible. I wish I could get a copy of that. But so that happened. Originally, I remember I remember every second of it happening. And I remember it coming down across me and thinking, oh my God, I just broke my back. And I remember my weekend that I had planned flashing before my eyes. And I'm like, well, that's not happening anymore. And yeah, I remember thinking about, oh my God, I broke my back. And then I blacked out because I couldn't breathe. My chest couldn't expand. It was in too tight of a spot. So I couldn't breathe. And I guess they told me afterwards my heart had stopped for a while. Couldn't breathe. I was in there for about, we'll say 5 minutes until they were able to hook up all the lines and everything, get the box back up. And at that point, I remember gasping for air. And the next moment, I remember opening my eyes and the rescue team was putting me on a backboard. So they put me on the backboard. They shipped me out in an ambulance. It was about 10, 15 minutes down the road. At this point, I still can't feel my legs. But 10, 15 minutes down the road, finally, I start getting feeling in my legs. And I was like, thank God I didn't break my back, right? But then the pain was just absolutely insane. Like, I was screaming. So they heavily drugged me. And They shipped me off the hospital in Fort McMurray, but that, it wasn't a fully equipped hospital. So then they had to fly me to Edmonton, which was another hour flight from there. And in the end, what ended up happening is the pelvis was so damaged. Like I said before, it was broken in 19 places. It was a compound fracture, so one of the bones had broke through the skin and came out my ass. So I couldn't do number 2 out the backside there because I would poison myself. So I had a colostomy for a year, which, I mean, they're a great thing is if you need them. There's a lot of people that live day-to-day lives with them, but if you don't have to have one, my God, it's an awful experience. You can just imagine, when I was coming through this in the end, trying to meet up with girls or whatever, the things leak in, you can smell it. It's just a bad situation. But yeah, so pelvis is broken in 19 places, severe trauma, organs were still good, luckily, but compound fracture. And then when I was in the hospital, the blood wasn't circulating and pooling. It was starting to pool in my legs. So I remember, I don't remember, my dad told me that he had come into the hospital room one day and he looked down at my legs and they looked like Fred Flintstone legs. They were just ballooned up. So he asked the doctor what was going on. I guess they kind of panicked. They had to cut my legs from my knee to my ankle on both sides. You can kind of see the scar all the way there. And then this leg, same idea, scar there to there. And I'm missing this muscle now because what happened was when they went in to cut me open, they realized that this muscle was going gangrene. It was dead because it wasn't getting the oxygen from the blood circulation. So they had to go in, cut this muscle out of both legs. That's permanent. That's for life. I have to wear braces on my legs now for the rest of my life for foot drop because now that muscle is what controls pulling your feet up. So basically now when I walk, my feet kind of droop down. And I have no real control over my toes or any of that kind of stuff. So anyways, yeah, that's what came out of that accident. It was obviously colostomy, broken pelvis 19 places, the foot drop because of the removing the muscle out of my shins. So that was a rough go, obviously. That was, 4 months in the hospital. 2 months in a rehabilitation hospital. And when I had gone to that rehabilitation hospital after being in the hospital for 4 months, they had told me that I'd never walk again because all the muscles had atrophied. This hamstring was cut in half. This hip flexor was cut in half along with this hip flexor. So to this day, I can barely do any hamstring curls with this, and it's extremely, extremely tight, and I have no real range of movement in my hips. Excuse me. So when I went to this hospital, they said, "Oh, your muscles have atrophied. They should have had you up walking earlier. It was just too damaged. You're probably not going to walk again." So for some reason, it was really weird, but it didn't resonate with me. I didn't even take it in. I was just, yeah, well, I'm going to walk again. It didn't even faze me. It was weird. Because thinking back now, that should have fazed me a lot. Being a 24-year-old male and thinking, that's it. I'm not going to walk again. But I pushed through. I gave her 110%. And like most things I end up doing because of that addictive personality, which I guess has helped me in some cases, not failed me every time. So I ended up walking out of there. I think, like I said, I was in there for 2 months. And then I went back to work, light duty for a couple years, and now I've worked my way back into being a heavy-duty mechanic again. But right after that, like I said before, my drinking wasn't normal. It was, I was definitely a binge drinker. And like I said before also, that I was heavily involved in sports growing up, and I was really always an active kid, so when I came out of this accident, now when I'd go to my friend's house, or say we'd go to a friend's house and they're playing volleyball in the backyard, or we're going to do anything, I always felt that now I had to drink to become equal to them, to be, in my head anyways. I would drink to become equal because now I didn't have that athletic ability to keep up with these people playing sports or basically do anything, because now I can... walking's a hard enough thing for me. So to me, to put myself on an equal playing field with them, I would get drunk and then I wouldn't worry so much about those things. I felt good about myself when I was drunk. And that was the real problematic thing, because that's when my drinking really spiraled out of control. Like I said before, looking back now, I didn't think it as a kid, but looking back now, I obviously probably had low self-esteem. When I was competing in rollerblading, I took my self-esteem from my accomplishments in that. I just didn't have any real internal self-esteem. It was just from my accomplishments in life. That's where I took them in. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that with some things, but you should be able to wake up and just feel good about yourself and not have to always rely on those outside accomplishments, because when they're taken away from you, you're left with absolutely nothing. And that's when drinking took over. So yeah, that's, I was drinking heavily after that, and it just got worse. It was on and off for good 8 years after that. Like I said before, I was working 1 week on work, 1 week off, staying in camp. And when I would come home from work, my drinking would be just insane. So I'd come home on a Wednesday, I would feel, okay, I'm not going to drink for Wednesday, Thursday, and then, by Friday I was itching, ready to go. So Friday I'd go hard. Saturday I'd wake up in the morning right away, and the first thing on my mind would be like, well, that was fun. Let's see if we can overdo it again, or let's see if we outdo what we did last night. And then my drinking would start, first thing in the morning, as soon as the liquor store would get up. And then by that third day, every time, it's amazing looking back now and thinking like, the pattern was there. Why did you keep doing this? But I did. So by that third day, every time I would be shaking so bad in the morning, and the withdrawals would hit me so hard that I'd be circling the liquor store at 10 o'clock in the morning waiting for it to open. And as soon as it did, boom, get it, pound it as quick as I could just to take the edge off, and then, just keep going and going and going. And then by that last day off, before I'd have to go to work, I'm trying to detox myself and wean myself off, and it was awful. Like, just looking back now, it was such an awful way to live. Anyways, it progressed to the point that every time I was detoxing now, I was needing like a medical detox, having to go on benzos, Ativan, that kind of stuff, which is extremely, extremely addictive and another problem in itself. I don't wish that one upon anybody either. That's an awful withdrawal. So we'll just skip through the drinking career, because that was just a never-ending cycle of the same thing, and I'm sure all of you know what that's like. So when I get to the end, basically what happened was I went on a big drunk. Being in having a dangerous job that I do, the one thing I always said is I'm not going to go into work, in a drunk or so hungover that I could endanger somebody else. So this, and I was missing work like crazy. I am so grateful that they kept me around and still have a job. But what happened was I had gone up to work, tried to wean myself off, towards the end of my days off, go up to work, get into my camp room, and I'm lying there. Obviously, I can't sleep because I'm shaking, withdrawals, all that kind of stuff. I brought up some booze with me to try to wean myself off. And, I was just going to have a couple drinks the night before. And by a couple drinks, I seriously meant a couple drinks. And so I did that. It would knock me out for 2 hours. Then 2 hours later, I'd be up again, shaking, sweating, thinking I'm going to have a heart attack, which I probably wasn't far off, because I remember when I was going through the medical detox at the hospital, my blood pressure one time was like 190 over something, just insane. So I'm sure I was close to that again. So yeah, anyways, I realized I can't go into work in the morning. I'm going to kill somebody. This is awful. So basically, I just sucked it up that night, and first thing in the morning, called in sick, jumped on a plane back home, continued drinking for another 2 weeks until my next cycle of work came, and I was going to try this all over again, bring booze up again. Didn't work. This time, we do have a bar in camp, but it only opens at 6 o'clock. So basically, I spent the entire week that I was supposed to be at work drinking at night from 6 till whatever it was, 9 or 10 o'clock when the bar closed. And I brought a little bit, well, it wasn't a little bit, it was quite a bit, because I thought that if I can't wean myself off, it might take a couple days this time, because obviously last time it didn't work, right? So I brought a lot of liquor up this time, and I'm weaning myself off in my camp room, but it's not working. I'm just staying drunk. I had brought up Ativan to try to, calm the nerves, but I was mixing that with alcohol and abusing that, of course. So I ended up spending the entire week in my camp room, not going to work one day. I remember that after that 7th day, I could barely walk because there's not much in this camp room. It's a tiny, tiny room, just basically a bed. So I'm lying in bed for almost a week, just drinking and trying to fend off the withdrawals. So on this last day, it was such a haze. Like, I barely remember this week in there, but the last day, I'm like, okay, I got to go home. I can't see any of the guys at work. They're going to wonder where the hell I've been. Like, what have you been doing this entire time? Where have you been? So I decide I'm going to run down to the cafeteria, eat supper before they get off work. And in the meantime, like the last 2 days I spent in camp room, the one thing I do remember about it is I had the employee counseling website on my phone, because I knew I was at my end. I had to phone. I had to talk to somebody, because at this point in a drunken stage, I had realized I'm an alcoholic. My life was unmanageable. I had realized this at this point, but I was too scared to make that call. I was terrified. So I'm going to run down. I'm going to eat before the guys get off work and, hopefully be able to avoid them. And this is the first time, they talk about your higher power moments. And this was the first time I experienced something like that, whether it was fate. What it was is I ran downstairs to go to the cafeteria to eat supper. And the first person I saw in that hallway was my general foreman. And he shouldn't have been there. He should have been at work still. I don't know to this day why he was there. So I run down the stairs. All of a sudden, the first person I see is him. And I'm like, oh, shit. What do I do? And I just remember this voice in my head. And it's like the only thing I remember, because it was a haze, I'm telling you. But the voice in my head just said, Matt, this is your moment. Tell him. So the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I have a problem. And from there, I got enrolled in a rehabilitation program through work. I went through a period of a good week when they sent me home that I didn't know if I had a job, which was awful, trying to withdraw from alcohol, the anxiety I was feeling, and then not knowing if I had a job, all that kind of stuff. But whatever, I put myself in that position. And it worked out for the best. They sent me away for a month. I did that. And then, coming out, I was diligent with my 12-step program. And then just got basically into fitness as well to fill that gap, that void that I'd been missing, like I said before. And to this day, it's been great. And another thing I've been diligent on is just working on myself, working on, like I said earlier, if something scares me, I want to take that step. I want to be outside of my comfort zone. I want to save this more for another episode, because I think there's a lot you can talk about on that. But little things like that I'm trying to take that next step forward all the time in my life. And, I can go to a meeting and I can learn about, alcohol, how to deal with parts of my life that are unmanageable. But there was that other thing that was missing too. It was like, okay, well, outside of that, how do I take a next step positive in my life? I can come in here, I can tell you what my problems are, I can tell the group what my problems are, but how do I take that next step? So that's where I've been, working a lot on with myself. And to be honest, fitness has been the biggest thing for me for that, because when you start off in fitness, I would go in there, start off in the gym, and what I told myself was, I'm going to give everything I have to go into the gym for 1 month. And after 1 month, then I'll sit back, reevaluate, and we'll go from there. Well, I did it for a month, and I gave it 110%, like I usually do with most things in my life. And I think, most people in recovery could probably do that as well, because like I said before, when we put our minds to something, we can achieve anything. And after I came out of that 1 month, I had seen positive changes. I saw changes in my body. Self-confidence obviously comes along with that. And not in like a vain way, it's not like, oh, look at me, I've got a six-pack, I've got great confidence now. No. You see that you're able to make changes in your body, and you have that power. And when you have that power, obviously that's empowering. So now you can take that to anything else in your life. You can, and that's where I started seeing, you know, like that first month, okay, I've made changes in my body. Things are working great. Well, then, you know, I just kept going with this. And then next thing you know, financial things are going positive in my life now for like the first time ever. And everything else, relationships and friends, everything is starting to get a little bit better. And I put that all goes back for me anyways. And I've spoke to lots of people about this and they can agree. I mean, whether you're in recovery or not, fitness gives you that first step to get into that. And you know what they say, like the first step to a healthy mind is a healthy body. Because if you don't have that healthy body, well, your mind's never going to be there. So I'm a huge proponent for promoting fitness and recovery. And I could make videos on this as well. I'm not going to try to stick too much to the fitness end of sobriety in these videos, just because there's a lot of fitness videos out there. If you want help on the fitness side, obviously contact me at Sobrietyfit. I'd be happy to help you through it. Even if you don't want to, you know, make a program or pay for a program right now, you just want to ask questions, obviously just give me a shout, PM me or email me. You can email me at fitandsober@gmail.com, or just go to any of the social media sites and message me. They're all Sobrietyfit. And I'd be happy to help you take that first step, whatever it is, because it is, honest to God, life-changing. And, you know, we all have that ability to do it. It's just sometimes we need that little kick in the ass to get us going. So if you want that, contact me. I'd be more than happy to help you. And I would like to finish every video that I'm going to be doing here with, you know, what's one thing we can do to today? Like, what's one thing today we can do to change our life for the better, maybe change somebody else's life for the better. Just one little thing that we can do, and we'll try to do that every video just to get the ball rolling, we'll say. So today, my goal, I mean, it's 9:30 in the morning right now for me. Today, my goal is no matter where I go, everyone I see, I'm going to smile. Just smile at them, see if I can, you know, maybe make their day a little bit better. And, you know, you get a smile back, that feels good. That's going to change your day as well. Hopefully they don't think I'm a creep, and if that's the case, well, whatever, I don't care. I'm going to smile at everyone I can today and see if I can just get that positive ball rolling and keep myself in a positive frame of mind. So that's my first episode. I just wanted to get you guys to know a little bit more about me. Just where I came from, what my story is. Hopefully some of you can take some motivation out of this, or I don't know, I don't want to sound like I'm inspiring or anything like that. I just know I've been through a lot of adversity, and you know, if I can do it, anyone can do it. We've all heard that before, but like it's for real, you know. Like I know I heard lots of stories like this when I went through sobriety, and sometimes it's all you need is just that little extra something, and that gets you through. So I really hope that maybe at least one person can take something out of this, and that's the only goal I'm really looking for with this. So thank you for listening. I'm hoping to put out at least one video every week. And next video, I want to talk about how we find our passion. It's a question I get all the time, is, you know, I want to get involved in something. I just don't know what I don't know what I like. I don't know what I'm passionate about. Well, I want to talk about how to do that. You guys all know how to find what you're passionate about. I guess you just don't know it yet. But it's very simple to do. We'll talk about it next week, or maybe further this week. We'll see how my schedule goes. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned. You can catch me basically at any of the social media sites at Sobrietyfit, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on all those websites, www.sobrietyfit.com. Check it out if you want to get a custom fitness program, nutrition plans, all that good stuff. Or if you just want to talk about anything in sobriety or fitness related, email me at fitandsober, FITNSOBER @gmail.com. Those links will be in the video in the comments section below. And yeah, we will talk to you guys later. See ya.